What's up? What's up? I'm Renz Davis, and this is
Vincent MMA Live. Guys, what's up? We are here today with Micheal from Zendragon Martial Arts. Am I saying that correctly?
Yeah, that's correct. Actually, on Instagram, it's Zendragon Martial Arts. On YouTube and in general, the brand is just Zendragon.
All right. Anyway, guys, he's an awesome guy. You know, he has numerous, martial arts under his belt. How are you doing, Micheal? How is your day going?
Thanks. It's been a bit of a hectic day because I'm a father now, and we've been
congratulations,
all kinds of stuff.
Congratulations, indeed.
But I've looked forward to speaking with you guys. You've had some great interviews and some great guests.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. When I heard you were coming on, I was very excited to be chatting combat with Zendragon. Guess we can call you Micheal. I was gearing up the whole time like, Mr. Dragon, serious question.
Yeah. Actually, to start out with, like, the Zendragon name was more for the channel and the brand. Never intended it to be my moniker. How do you pronounce that? Moniker?
No, you got it right, moniker.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like branding.
But eventually, I just got tired of telling followers and fans that it's the name of the channel. So now it's also my nickname.
Indeed. By the way,
it's a very nice nickname. Just saying.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah. You're Danish, right? You're from Denmark.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Nice. That's very close. To the Netherlands. It's just up north. I'm from the Netherlands, so that's funny. First
Dude,
question.
Vincent, this guy's from Denmark. Denmark? I thought he was from Connecticut with that accent. I'm just joking around. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I get a lot of Austrian and like Arnold Schwarzenegger comparisons.
Get to the chopper.
Put the cookie down now.
Yeah.
But first question of all, I wanted to ask you, how did you start in martial arts? Why did you decide, that you needed to spend such a big part of your life, practicing martial arts? And why do you like them so much?
Yeah, that's actually, I think I've always had some interest, which a lot of boys have, watching Karate Kid at first and then discovering Lee. But I was always told that it's too dangerous, it's too expensive to go to classes as a kid. And then actually was at the age of 24 where I got started on my journey. And right now I'm 36. Soon I'll be 37.
Damn.
It's gonna be a lifelong journey, but I felt like I was getting started way too late at 24. But
no, absolutely not, my man. I tell you what, I'm in the similar boat. I really wanted to do karate when I was much younger. I was afforded the chance to do karate, but at the time I was like, when did we learn how to do the really cool stuff? And I lost interest. It's like the fad. But then when I was 20, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna start up again. And I've been with it ever since. Very exciting times.
So your background is in karate, actually?
Yep, I do karate and Brazilian Jiu-jitsu.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. And I started out in karate and now I do, kickboxing and MMA.
Nice.
Dutch style kickboxing. And I also did some Muay Thai. You also, when you do MMA, you do almost everything, like the basic martial arts. But what art did you start in?
So I started with Kung Fu.
Nice.
And then
also a particular style, or
it's called Meishu Kung Fu.
Bless you.
I know for a fact you haven't heard of it unless you heard me speak of it. As it was formed in the 80s by my shifu, so it's like a semi-traditional style. And yeah, I feel pretty blessed to have just randomly picked that art up, because what I liked about it is there was some actual sparring and pressure testing. That's
excellent.
Yeah, and that's not always the case with Kung Fu. I love Kung Fu.
Yeah, that's sad.
Yeah, it's definitely effective, but a lot of times people just practice it for performance, and then that's what you're gonna get.
Yeah, that's still beautiful, but in my opinion, sometimes some martial arts, they take a little bit too much to the art and not to the martial part of it. But it's
well
the
said,
other.
Vincent.
Yeah, but sometimes it's also the other way around. Some gyms only focus on the physical aspect, and they forget about the mental aspect, about being kind to one another, only use it in self-defense, etc., or or in
Absolutely
competition.
has to be that balance.
Yeah, totally.
If it goes too far one way, not effective. Too far the other way, you might get an assault charge.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. That's
but
true.
What do you learn in that art? Because of course you showed some stuff on your channel, but is it like does it include grappling? Does it include striking? How do I have to picture it?
Yeah, it depends on the style of Kung Fu. Now, the style I learned had pretty much no grappling. There was once in a while, like the second highest ranked Shifu is also a Shifu, like my primary Shifu. He would teach some basic stuff like a takedown and an armbar and stuff. And we had a seminar with an MMA fighter who used to train at the club, but generally it was all stand-up. And but there's also some Kung Fu styles such as dog fighting. I believe it's called the dog animal style, which actually emphasizes the ground game. And from what I've seen, there's a lot of similarities actually within, like in Japanese Jiu-jitsu and stuff. But I don't know that much about the dog fighting.
But that's also, you see that a lot. Japanese Jiu-jitsu is far closer, to some styles of karate and Kung Fu than it is to Brazilian Jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. I've actually, I used to train like informally with some Japanese Jiu-jitsu guys. So that was my first exposure to grappling. And then I think probably 2 years back or something, I started at an MMA gym primarily to learn some ground game. And I've done mostly Nogi, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Same here.
So I definitely have some holes in my ground game because after a while, especially as I became a father, I started more attending the rolling sessions rather than the classes because you can come and go. So it's much easier to time as a father. But I definitely evolved a lot just from learning some submissions and getting an idea how to defend yourself on the ground.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. I mean, the best thing to do is always have some form of exposure.
Yeah.
Because everyone feels like they have a plan to like avoid the takedown. That was a big thing in like when the UFC first started. It's like, yeah, that guy Royce Gracie, he's gonna try and take you down and submit you. Just control that spot. It's like, nah, I got this ultimate technique. I'm gonna punch him with an uppercut or I'm gonna knee him, and then they get taken down.
But if you don't grapple, you don't have the timing to throw that uppercut and knee because somebody's so quick, to grapple all of you. But to be honest, you only need like blue belt level in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, to be able to defend yourself. Like in self-defense, that's all you need. If purple belt, black belt, it's more like brown belt. It's more like to beat other guys who also do Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah, I think the best analogy to think of this is I like to use food a lot. I used to cook, but if you get the meat, like if you get the meat and potatoes of grappling. If you have a good repertoire of striking with the meat and potatoes of grappling, you should be relatively fine in most circumstances. However, there are some people that are like, well, screw that. I want to have scalloped potatoes and a really nice T-bone steak. And that's like, screw that. We need a filet mignon and we need au gratin, and then so on and so forth. And it's really wild.
You do when I see you spar on your channel, you do it looks like kickboxing, but then some I know with flashy, fancy, something like that, fancy elements in there, like some spinning stuff, some hook, some hook kicks or something like that. Do you also surprise the more traditional Muay Thai sparring partner with that?
Yeah, and actually when I spar, I like to really mix it up. So I do a lot of different things because I have pretty much 3 types of modes when it comes to sparring, where one is more self-defense focused, and
not a bad call.
I don't get to record that often because I prefer to have it as random as possible with trying to get multiple opponents involved and stuff, and that can be really difficult to arrange. But for that stuff, I try to emulate more some stuff I learned from Krav Maga, some of that, because I trained that for a little while, as well as a lot of stuff I've learned from fellow YouTuber whom you've already had as a guest, Nick Grosses.
Oh yeah, indeed.
Really fantastic guy.
Yeah, really nice guy to talk to.
Yeah, he's a huge source of inspiration for me, both personally because we both overcome some things in our lives early on, and also in terms of the way I view self-defense especially.
Yeah.
So that's one mode, the self-defense mode, where, for instance, one thing I'll do is I'll either test my endurance a lot, because it's important that you're able to keep fighting and you're going to experience an adrenaline dump. Even more so, I would say, in a self-defense situation than in a combat sports situation. Because I've fought in the ring, not much, but I had my kickboxing debut against a much bigger guy, and it was a little bit scary, but I just put that to the side. But I was able to prepare all day long. For a self-defense situation, which I've also tried a few situations, it's just so random, and the adrenaline just spikes.
Yeah, it's more.
For that reason, you really need the stamina. So if I do this self-defense type of sparring, then I like to do something like every 20 seconds or something, you got to drop to the ground and do some push-ups or some burpees or something just to get the pulse going, and then carry on. And stuff like palm strikes, and some of it can be difficult to do in sparring, like the elbows and stuff.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
And groin kicks, you definitely need to work up for those.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Krav Maga.
Krav Maga and Ameridote.
Krav Maga is just karate. It's just it's just
Israeli karate, guys.
Indeed, with groin strikes. No, kidding. But I get what you're saying, my man. Have you ever, had to defend yourself, because it fascinates you so much, you think it's so important?
I've had a few experiences, nothing like in the movies. It's not something where I come off great, but I'm still around. I'm still here.
That's excellent. We're glad you're still here.
Yeah, glad, man.
But just briefly, to expand on the thing with the free modes, because I just touched on the self-defense one. Then I have more of like a combat sports mode, which I do a lot of sparring with, which is sort of what you explained, where it looks like kickboxing and perhaps there'll be some grappling in Brazilian Jiu-jitsu, but with some fancy kicks from Kung Fu. And I feel actually I draw more on inspiration from Sabat than Sanda, because Sanda is more Muay Thai based, where Sabat is more similar to the Kung Fu I learned.
For anyone who's listening, who doesn't know what Sabat is, maybe you can explain it.
Yeah, I love this the art of Sabat. It's a kickboxing style, and it's fought wearing boots. So similar to a self-defense situation, you would typically not be bare feet, and it kicks a lot with the instep rather than with the shin, and it has a lot of fluid combinations with a lot of nice boxings, and then followed with stuff like hook kicks or crescent kicks and side kicks and stuff you don't see that often.
Side kicks don't work. Icy Mike said so himself.
To be honest, I really... Icy Mike, do you know him from Hot to Hurt?
Yeah, did he start that sidekicks?
No. Sensor
he didn't
started
start it, but he ran with it.
Okay, I've seen Shane Faison make that reference as well.
Yeah, the story was, like Shane Faison, he held a seminar, and Sensor Set and Icy Mike were there as well. Shane, he knew Mike already, I believe, but Sensor Set he didn't knew. But Sensor Set made the joke, hashtag sidekicks don't work. And then, then the hashtag started, because then Shane followed up with it. And then, because he has such a huge following, once he's made the joke, hashtag sidekicks don't work, then, it just blew up. But, you have these people that say, sidekicks don't work, this doesn't work, this doesn't work. And I always say, it doesn't work until you get hit with it.
Exactly. It's a clever ruse, man. It's a clever ruse. We're just saying sidekicks don't work. Wink, wink.
Yeah.
Then they'll think, okay. Then we just sidekick the hell out of them.
if you guys want to watch the worst I've ever been hurt in combat, besides an eye poke, which this was actually worse.
Those hurt.
From a sidekick to the face, where
to the face.
Yeah, because I had a full contact
music
fight with my friend, and he did a low kick. So he turned sideways in the position, and then he delivered a perfect side kick. Connecting with the heel.
That's one of my favorite setups as well.
Yeah.
Hey Vince, didn't I send you a video like that?
It's powerful. It was kind of scary actually, just when I saw the damage. But
did you also, break anything in your face or something like that?
Yeah, because like I don't even remember here or here, but apparently my cheekbone, my orbital bone, I guess it's swelled up. And
ouch.
That pushed to the nose, so the nose was looking crooked for the first couple of things, and I thought the nose was broken. So unfortunately, I was told to do something like this, and there's a chance that maybe my nose is a slight bit.
I can see it.
Messed up, so just a little bit, and I think that was from that. Because I did this thing, I should just have waited for the swelling to heal up, but I didn't know until I went to the emergency.
At least it's not as bad as Owen Wilson, man. Wow.
He pulls it off because he has the charisma for sure.
Yeah, that's true. What was the guy called? Mike Perry?
Mike Perry, he got it bad.
His nose, it was horrible. I've never seen a nose like that.
Wild nature, I guess.
If Mike Perry was in a kitchen with The Rock, he would not smell what The Rock is cooking. Still relevant, love it.
But that shows you how amazing doctors are, because when you see a nose like that, and now his nose is relatively fine again, it's like wow. Like that people can do that.
That's true. So just to remember and to touch on the final thing, because we were talking about my 3 modes. So we got the self-defense mode, we've got the combat sports mode, very Savate inspired and with some grappling on the ground. Jiu-jitsu. Then there's the animal style mode, which if you look through my channel, I have a bunch of different types of animal style sparring videos. And that's the most difficult part to pull off safely, honestly, because it's sometimes you do very light contact sparring, and you can do stuff like controlled pokes just near the eyes if it's very controlled and light contact. But for the most part, like recently I recorded a pretty hard sparring session with animal styles, and it was I used the animal styles more to as a setup for my kicks, which could really connect, and then I struck to the back of the head, which can be dangerous, but at least you don't poke the opponent in the eye. And
rather a headshot to the back of the head than the front of the face.
To be completely honest, though, my man, I think strike to the back of the head, in MMA should be legal again, because I think it's very when somebody touches their head, and I think you shouldn't be safe there in combat sports, but that's also the thing, with eye pokes, those I get, I get strikes that are illegal, because a fighter, when he gets poked in the eye, every fight, because if fighters train for it, they can hit you in the eye at any moment, then people will go blind, and I don't think that's a good thing. That's also why I think for example, stomps on the ground, people think that they maybe should be legal again, but I always think that's.
I agree with that.
Yeah, he agrees with that, but
I'm a sadist. What can I say? Here's my reasoning for it, though.
Yeah.
If you're in a bad position and you're allowing someone the chance to do that, then you're clearly trying to game the system, because there are some grapplers that do this entire enabling, like, hey, I'm going to just drop to the ground and hope that you come in. Not every striker is going to want to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, there was an instance with John Bones Jones versus Vitor Belfort, where at the start of the fight, Bones was gaming the system. He had his hand down, so you can't land the kick legally.
Renz,
Vitor didn't care.
Renz, that is something, I totally agree, that you then shoot knee to the head, they should be legal, so he should have been able to knee him in the head or kick him. But I mean, when somebody is, with his belly or with his back on the ground, I don't believe, you should be able to kick his head, because if normal people do that, it's very dangerous. If high level...
Okay, to the head.
Yeah,
okay,
to the
I
head,
thought you meant like stomps in general.
No. I mean, knees to the head on the ground, I don't have any problem with. Like One Championship does, I love those. I think they are, a valid technique. But when you do it on the ground, when somebody is either belly down or on his back, and you can kick him to the head, or stomping on his head, when normal people do it, it's very dangerous. When high-level athletes do it, that are professional fighters, then people will die in there, and I don't want anyone to die. That's too dangerous.
If they die. I don't do the Swedish accent very well.
Nah, I don't know. I guess I haven't seen that movie in such a long time. I'm not gonna try and pull it off.
To be completely honest,
that was actually a good one. You did it very well right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I'm Danish, so that's not off. But it was an interesting discussion in regards to strikes on the ground, and I think I agree with Vincent mostly. So yeah, I don't like the thing. I also saw the fight with Vitor Belfort and Jen. I don't like that sort of gaming the system.
Exactly.
Did you actually catch this thing just recently? I think it was the last UFC event. It may have been Vicente Luque or something like that. I'm not sure. As a fighter, where the opponent was trying to touch the ground.
Yes.
Yeah, you saw that? And then he just picked him up. I think he lifted him or something from the ground and then delivered a knee. So
I mean...
that's legal.
If one person is gaming the system, then the other person should be allowed to game the system too.
Yeah,
absolutely. Just a moment. I'll be right back.
Absolutely.
No problem, my man. So, there we go.
Hey, not a problem, man.
I've got some cow, and I also got some ramen noodles, which we ordered, but I don't think I'm gonna bring those to this table. I'm just gonna stick.
Looks good, my man. Have a good bite. By the way, Danish, that sounds exactly, when I hear, Danish people speak, it sounds exactly like Dutch, only the words, don't make sense. But, the accent, the way, the sentences are said, it's almost the same as Dutch grammatically. And, when you hear it as a Dutch person.
That's true, because I've done some traveling in Netherlands as well, and yeah, there's a lot of similarities in sounds.
Yeah.
And the word success, which just has a different context.
Yeah, indeed.
In Danish, it's like in American English, where it just means success. But in Netherlands, it's something a little bit different, I think.
Yeah,
Good luck.
Yeah, it's something like, you can say it like he has success, he has success, like he's doing good. But you can also say, I wish you success, like ik wens je succes. That also means, like, I wish you good luck, good luck, my friend. Success, vriend. Okay. Yeah. So that's funny.
I was sailing with my dad through Netherlands, and it was a crazy misadventure. And along the way, we had so much trouble with our boat, but people always were supporting us, and they always said success to us.
Yeah, indeed. That's also what we say. That's totally true. But sailing, and having a boat, here in the Netherlands is beautiful. My parents also have a boat, and it's beautiful country, to travel to with a boat. Yeah. But Renz, what would you say?
Absolutely. Like, now that we're talking about boats a little bit, it's funny that we were talking about Savate and now we're talking about boats, because part of the origin of, Savate is it was made as a self-defense on boats. So I was like, man, I wonder if have you guys ever considered about doing sparring on a boat? Because I think that would be kind of fun.
Yeah, I've thought about that actually. It's just a matter of doing it. But yeah, I forgot to mention that about Savate, so I'm glad you brought that up. I've done some sparring on like a floating platform thing.
Those are fun.
Which was but it was very light contact, but it was definitely fun. You could definitely feel the balance was more shaky. Mm-hmm. And I was doing my usual Kung Fu thing. And because I wasn't self-defense focused at that part, so it was pretty challenging, a good challenge. But in terms of Savate, right now, as a ring sport, it looks very different from its roots on the boats, because as you can imagine, it was a lot of low kicks, and because you don't want to jeopardize your balance. And when they used these high kicks, it was typically because they were able to hold on to something. On the ship.
You know, like you have like a famous kickboxer in the Netherlands. His name is Peter Aerts. I don't know if you know Peter Aerts, if you say it correctly. You know, like in Dutch. That guy also, you know, he used to grab the rope, you know, of the ring. You know, when he threw a head kick, you know, he almost every time, you know, you see him throw a head kick, you know, he grabbed the rope, you know, to have better balance, you know, and that also allowed him to throw so much more power in that head kick.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely, man.
Shout out to underrated YouTuber Andy Lee. I think his channel is something like Andy Lee, or if you write vegan martial arts, Andy Lee.
Oh, vegan martial arts. Yeah, I know that guy.
Shout out to vegan martial arts. What?
What?
Shout out to vegan martial arts. What?
Yeah, exactly. So, but this guy, he had this moment in the ring in I think a Muay Thai fight or something, where he held on to the ropes and delivered a close range side kick from the range where you would normally be jeopardizing your balance too much throwing that kick, but he utilized the environment, and that's also an important thing in self-defense. So with self-defense sparring, I just recently recorded something with like a baton weapon.
Oh yeah, like a baton, you know, like a police baton, you know, like.
Yeah, not a tonfa in this case, but more like a club.
Basically like a stick or a club, yeah.
Yeah.
What would you personally say, by the way, is the best weapon for self-defense?
Huh?
What would you say is the best weapon for self-defense? As, you know, a hand-to-hand weapon, you know, so don't...
Oh, okay, we're taking the mind out of the table.
So, yeah, we're not using guns, but, you know, as except for guns, you know, what would you say, you know, if you already know martial arts, what would the best, you know, weapon be?
I have a few, probably two in particular.
Mm-hmm.
We're not talking improvised weapons because there's always something in your surroundings. But actually, traditional martial arts weapons, there's like the tonfa and the sai, I think, are extremely practical and easy to use. Not if you're doing like all the flashy stuff.
Yeah.
But, so you got the tonfa, you know what a tonfa looks like?
So it's kind of like a baton with a handle on it that kind of sticks out vertically.
That's what, you know, I love those things, you know, when it goes across, you know, like the arm, you know, if you hold it like this, because you can hit with it, you can block with it, and because, you know, something sticks out here too, you know, you can jab with it, and you can just turn it around, you know, to hit. By the way, Renz put a video up, of a photo up, you know, for the viewers, if they don't know.
Most definitely, you got it.
Sure. And yeah, if you're curious about tonfa, it's not the weapon I've trained most, because it's typically associated with Japanese martial arts, even though it's rooted in Chinese martial arts. But I have actually quite a few sparring videos with it because I've got a pair with.
I saw something similar, you know, on your channel, indeed.
Yeah. So, anyways, for self-defense, I like that one a lot. Both you can control the range and you can extend it to keep your opponent at bay. A lot of time, the situation will escalate in close range, and then you've got it where it's just like an extension of your arm.
Yeah.
Where if you deliver a punch, you don't have to worry about not wearing gloves and hurting your knuckles. Typically, I palm strikes, but for this, you're gonna connect with this part which sticks out here at the end. If anyone listening doesn't know what a tonfa is, then just Google it. You'll understand.
Yeah. We'll have an image somewhere below.
Yeah.
I'm a pretty good chief editor.
Then you can block it, like, so even blocking becomes like a weapon if someone strikes. And if someone approaches you with a weapon, you can extend the tonfa to keep them at distance.
You know, I also think, you know, it's a way better thing, you know, than a regular baton, because when you have a regular baton, you know.
Just a moment.
Yeah, no worries.
Just
one
a little bit too much noise.
Recording is again.
Yeah, but can we just wait just a bit? Because
sure thing.
Somehow.
No worries.
Best weapon for all
no
those
worries,
food.
my man.
Take
your time.
Weapons.
We're recording.
The question of self-defense.
Yeah, we are recording, my man. But don't worry, take your time.
So sorry about the light. If the light kind of sucks.
No, my man. You know it's fine. You know.
Not a problem, man.
We can see you, so no worries.
And close this door so I don't wake up my baby son.
It's actually kind of a nice lighting setup right now. It's kind of got that like found footage vibe to it. So this is gonna be like a new level for ChatCOMBAT.
A beautiful background, by the way, my man. How old is your son now, by the way?
He's 10 months old.
10 months. Oh, congratulations still, my man. You're a new father. You know, Renz is also a father of, how old is your son again, Renz? Like 3.5, right?
Let's see. This is August, what is it, the 7th? He is 3 years, 8 months, and 5 days.
6 days is the 8th.
It pays off when they're born in December, just saying.
Yeah. There's so much we can talk about, I think, in this interview. So I'm gonna get back to the question about martial arts weapons.
Yeah,
totally. I almost feel like talking about the possibility of training as a father and son. I have a video coming out on that soon. But we were talking about weapons which would be practical for self-defense.
Yeah, so
from traditional martial arts. So I actually brought some from my basement.
Oh, great, my man. Please show us.
Yeah, for sure. I'm just gonna do a balancing act so I don't.
Oh, not a problem.
So I don't drop my food, which is also on the table.
You know, that's the most important thing, my man. Don't drop the food.
Save the food. Drop the weapons.
No.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. I mean, don't. You know, the most important thing, you know, that even comes before food. Don't drop the soap.
Yeah, for sure. I got no soap.
You guys in Netherlands and Denmark have that concern too, huh? I thought that was just an American thing.
Yeah, you know, we've seen too many American movies, I think.
I see. Let me assure you, all the rumors are grossly exaggerated, but incredibly true.
Yeah, you know, I just listened to a podcast today, Joe Rogan Experience.
Yeah.
It's extremely enlightening about the Innocence Project and about how messed up the justice system is in the States, unfortunately.
You know, but I'm always on the fence, you know, because of that one. Because one thing, you know, I also talked with Renz, you know, about this a little bit. You know, if a guy, you know, is really guilty, you know, of a, you know, disgusting crime, you know, I rather put him, you know, in an American prison than in, you know, a European prison, you know, like you have or we have here in the Netherlands. But if somebody, you know, if a kid, you know, who, you know, stole some cars, you know, and gets in prison for that, you know, it's, you know, he has a better chance, you know, to becoming a better human when he is in a European prison most of the time than in an American prison. But you know, sometimes I feel like the prisons here in the Netherlands and in Denmark, you know, it's like a hotel sometimes, you know, like, and, you know, that's also, you know, when you have that kid, you know, that isn't bad, he just made bad choices, you know, then, you know, that isn't a problem. Then it helps, you know, him to get better. But when it's you know, but when it's really a hardened criminal, you know, I always have like, you know, it doesn't feel right for me to have him and, you know, to have him or her be treated, you know, so kindly.
No, I understand. It's a very complex issue, actually.
No, I agree.
You know, if it was easy, you know, it would be have, you know, it would have been, you know, it would
solved
have
a long time ago.
It would have been solved a long time ago.
Exactly. But just to get back to the friend
weapons,
we're talking on, we were talking about weapons for self-defense, and in the previous episode, I mentioned the tonfa, which, in case you haven't seen it before, it looks like this.
That looks like a tonfa fun.
You hold it like this, or you can extend it like this.
Damn.
So especially if the opponent is has a knife or something, then this would be a good idea if you manage to establish some distance. Unfortunately, as you may know, with knife attacks, a lot of times people won't show the knife until they're in close range.
They, you know, they maybe tap you on the shoulder, you turn around, they grab your shirt, you know, and they start stabbing, you know. And you know, that's the most, you know, scary one to me, you know, like the shirt grab and stab.
Especially if you're in a grappling situation. So, like,
they can just come right out of nowhere.
As well, on your recent episode, which I listened to, of course.
Yeah, thank you, my man. Thank you for the support. Thank you.
Yeah, and like you would realistically not be carrying something like a tonfa when someone walks up to you with a knife.
But maybe for a home defense, you know.
Yeah, for home defense, it's nice to have lying around. And so, like, if the person has a knife, typically what you find is you're gonna get slashed or potentially stabbed or something, unless you're very lucky. So that's even in Krav Maga, we did a lot of multiple opponents and sometimes with rubber knives and stuff, and you always got cut almost. But blocking with something like this would definitely help against a knife. And the idea is also with weapon training that I've learned some basics with the tonfa. I can apply a lot of that with other improvised objects. So you might be able to pick up something and use it to both strike and to block.
Because you have those basic skills already.
Yeah, and just to... so that's the third grip, which you don't see
Absolutely.
that often.
That right there is a good way to use it. I was about to say, there's a third way you can hold it like that, or you can flip it around. It protects your hand and also acts like a billy club, pretty much.
Yeah.
Or, a baton.
Yeah, exactly. So, I like this one for self-defense a lot. And I've actually been struck with a hard one. But I was wearing headgear, but there was a hole in the headgear. I think it took some of the damage, but it really hurt here to the back of the head.
Yeah,
in America we call that getting hit in the sweet spot. It's ironic, I'm afraid.
Yeah, I think the light is kind of weird, but
no, so, it's perfect. Don't worry.
So that was my one choice. I have a second choice, which is more underrated, I feel, because people just associate it with Ninja Turtles. And
clearly a Raphael fan.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, for sure. So these, I just brought up two different kinds. This is for sparring, polypropylene material. And I've actually managed to hook and trap a weapon during sparring. If you search the video, Knife versus Bow, Zendragon or something, you'll find it.
Oh, yeah. Was it on your channel, or did I also see that on his channel, maybe?
Whose channel?
I don't know, but I'm not sure if I saw it on your channel, but I did remember seeing a sparring match of you.
Possibly
maybe it
with
was
the person that you sparred with.
Fight commentary breakdowns interview. Possibly he may have shown a clip.
That could also be it. I'm also subscribed to him, so that could also be it.
I have a few sparring videos with these on Zendragon channel, and in one of them, although it was somewhat light contact, because the opponent had a wooden staff with no foam covering or anything. But I managed to hook the staff and take it off. And then, of course, you can strike right back. Or you can extend it like the tonfa. And you can strike. Yeah. So the reason why I like this one for self-defense is because you don't need to worry about edge alignment. This is more like a metal... something. Yeah.
It's kind of like a baton stick, with little trident things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Only if you don't hit
that you can also stab with.
Exactly. You can strike just once, and this doesn't take a lot of gross motor skills to just bring it forward. If you hit the side of the head, then it's right here for stabbing the throat if you really need to. And like the tonfa, you don't need to worry about breaking your hand when punching, because you can just punch like this.
But is there also, you hold it like like that way? Can you also, is it also a grip, that you flip it around, because I also saw that they had like the what do you call it, no, like different way around, I also saw.
So you have like the longer piece kind of facing away from you, rather than kind of like the long piece in your arm, like that almost.
That you had the longer part between the fingers. I also saw that.
Yeah. The Ninja Turtle grip.
Yeah, indeed. But
cowabunga, dude.
Can you also use it like that?
Yeah. Both are practiced. I don't remember exactly. I think I heard something about one of them being less traditional. I think I much prefer this one. So ideally, you want to have your finger extended here to have a better grip, but you still want to keep your extended finger protected. Now, with this one, even though there's the prongs to protect your hands, I just feel the hand is a little more exposed, so I always do it like the other way.
One looks cooler, but the other is more practical for sure.
Yeah.
We can't trust everything we see in a Ninja Turtles movie. There's no 6 foot tall, 300-pound turtles mutated to be ninjas.
You know, that's also
well, not here at least.
You know, that's also
fingers crossed. Please don't.
That would be something I would pay for, you know, to see them fight. But you know, that's also with, you know, like with a sword grip, you know, you have like the normal way to hold the sword, and in movies, you know, and even in the series, you know, The Witcher, they have like a reversed grip, you know. But that one is just way less practical, you know, even with a sword.
Absolutely.
Obviously, but you know, it looks cool though, you know, it looks cool, you know. Don't get me wrong, I love movies and but you know.
I've tested that in sparring as well, but it's not that practical.
No,
the
you know.
One situation where you might do that is if you got like a longer sword and the opponent has something like a sai or close range weapon, and if he moves in close,
yeah.
I guess you can flip it, but yeah.
But then maybe, you know, also what a lot of people don't know, you know, for the viewers, when you hold a sword, you know, like a sharp sword, you know, like fully sharp, you know, that you can shave it, you can still grab the sword. People don't know that, but unless, you know, you grab it and you move your hand like this, then you cut your hand. But, you know, when, you know, like in the medieval times, when somebody, you know, had full body armor, you know, like, how do you say it in English, Renz? You know, like a knight, you know, like
Crusaders,
a knight. Yeah, like Crusader, you know, like full with helmet, you know, like a harness, you know, how do you say it in English? You know, with a full armor, you know, metal plated armor. You wouldn't get through there with the sword, you know. You would get through there, you know, with little eye holes and, you know, the little pieces. So you would have sword, you would grab the blade, you know, and stick it like a knife between the eyes or something like that. But what you
absolutely.
But you could also do a murder stroke. A murder stroke is that you grab the sword and you hit, you know, with the cross guard, for example. You know, like when you have a sword, Renz will put up a sword and he will, you know, let's see what you know, like a picture, Renz. And then, you know, you hit with like the cross guard. You know, that's also, you know, but that's also, you know, I also love HEMA. Do you know HEMA? Did you ever?
Yeah. I was just about to ask if you had some exposure to HEMA.
Yeah, you know, it's amazing. I love it.
Absolutely.
I'd love to train it at some point. Just not enough time for now.
Yeah, same. You know, I have the same problem. You know, because MMA, you know, takes so much time, you know, from me. So I you know, but when I get a little bit older, you know, and maybe I can't practice, you know, hand-to-hand combat, you know, anymore as good as I do it now, you know, maybe then, you know, I move on to weaponized martial arts because that's a little bit better for your body.
Yeah, I highly recommend for people finding safe ways to engage in weapon sparring and different kinds of sparring in general, because I think for self-defense, there's a lot of takeaways from that, even from some of my more flashy light contact weapon sparring on my channel. You just learn to improvise and adapt to the situation a lot, because there's so many variables, unlike in a situation where, okay, you know your opponent, you touch fists and stuff. But when I've done weapon sparring, I've had like weapons break during the sparring and you just have to improvise. Or in grappling, what might you do with nunchaku? You got it would be chain, but for sparring, it's more like rope, where you can use it to try and choke. And it really helps to try and adapt. Yeah.
Have you, by the way,
the nunchoke? I love that one.
Yeah.
The nunchoke. Good joke, Renz.
But not to be confused with a nun that chokes people. I want to be very clear about that.
I didn't get that.
Nuns don't kill with nunchucks. They kill with kindness.
Renz,
because I was hit with a tonfa to the head once.
Renz, if we ever make up a jiu-jitsu move, write it down. We have to call it the nunchokes.
Absolutely.
We have to call it a nunchoke. But Micheal, by the way, have you ever seen, you know, the video that Mike did, you know, Icy Mike from Heart to Hurt did with like the tactical whip? Have you ever seen that video?
Oh, those are cool.
I've seen several of his videos, but not that one.
You know,
he had something.
Do you know what like how do you say it? It's like, you know, a steel cable.
It's about 16 inches of steel cable like attached to a handle.
Yeah, and
very devastating.
That handle is like a cabotin, you know, like with an glass breaker tip on the end, so you can also strike with that. But like he said, you know, the thing that's so good about that weapon is because, you know, it is flexible. When somebody grabs it, you know, somebody doesn't have any leverage over you. You know, you can just still move your hands. But what do you think about, you know, flexible self-defense weapons like that? Have you ever had?
I think, I think they're very useful also for self-defense, and I think it's great to have done some training with both soft and hard weapons, as the Chinese terminology.
Sorry. Child mind. Soft and hard weapons. I experienced that.
All right, giggity.
But you know, continue. I'm sorry, my man.
Yeah, for sure. so like with the soft weapon, I mean something flexible, like the whip, for instance, and also like a chain.
Yeah.
I have this big chain for my my big expensive ladcykel thing. It's the most expensive thing I own. I'm not sure what to call it. But it's like for where you can ride your bicycle and then you can have like your kid and your girlfriend and sitting inside.
Okay, it's like a little cart for your bicycle.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I got you.
This thing, I got a really, really thick chain. I was just at one point, I was closing and just picked it up and just to practice a little bit. And you can definitely do a lot of the stuff from nunchaku, or it felt actually more like a three-sectional staff, where you can keep your opponent at bay. And
you know, in my experience, you know, a flexible weapon like that, you know, like a chain or a chain whip, it is also more dangerous, you know, to the user than, you know, like a staff, because, you know, you have less control over it. So you have to practice with it way more than, you know, a normal staff.
That is very true. But on the other hand, something that is considerably interesting is, I can't remember the exact name of it. It was in the movie The Accountant with Ben Affleck. I think it was called Pencastilat.
Yeah, Pencastilat. Yeah.
Cool, I did get it right. I didn't butcher that name.
Indonesian martial arts.
Nice, man.
But thank you, Vincent. But anyway, that martial art does a lot of like flexible weapons training, which I think is kind of a delightful feature.
Yeah.
Like a lot of martial arts.
Like a scarf or something, I think.
Pardon?
I think they may practice with like a scarf or something.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly.
What would you, by the way, say, you know, if you look at traditional martial arts, you know, some people, you know, they really bash on traditional martial arts, and some people, you know, from the traditional martial arts community, they really bash on, you know, mixed martial artists. What would you say, you know, what would you say, you know, that traditional martial arts could do better, you know, to be seen as more legit? And what do you think, you know, modern martial arts like an MMA gym can do to be more, you know, appealing to people that also like traditional martial arts?
Yeah, I think to begin with the traditional martial art, I think it's a matter of pressure testing and also not having these insecurities where sometimes they feel almost like they have to live up to the expectations built from movies, because it's not like a superpower. It's just like mixed martial arts. You got
just
some
a tool,
and depending on how you train them, that's really going to influence how you're able to apply them under pressure.
Couldn't agree more with you.
Yeah. So that's a few things. It's a little bit complex because with traditional martial arts, there's a lot of techniques which are not allowed in combat sports. And of course you get the cliche response that my Kung Fu could defeat any mixed martial artist.
Yeah,
but I can't do it because it's not allowed.
No.
And sure, some of that is true to some extent. You can do some dirty stuff. The mixed martial artist can do it as well if he has it instinctively in him to do it. But it's also like psychologically, honestly, I don't think if my life depended on it, I hope I would use some of the more dirty tactics from Kung Fu or Krav Maga as well, where you poke the eye and whatever you can do. But psychologically, I feel more like beating up a person than destroying a person. And it's also actually the hardest thing in the world to do. It's almost unrealistic to expect, is to defend yourself without hurting your opponent.
That is possible. You know, I'm sorry, but if you know, you see that sometimes, you know, in the fake McDojo, you know, self-defense channels on YouTube, you know, the fake ones, you know, you see then like you said, they grab somebody, and they put him on the ground, with real, the other person, he is cooperating, you can see it, that's fake. But
yeah,
when you really want to control somebody, that many, self-defense, that's also why I love Nick Roses. He tests everything that he does, he tests full out, with a person that's really trying to hurt them, because so many people don't get this about self-defense. If a guy, really wants to hurt you, really is a psycho that wants to stab you, he doesn't stop you. He doesn't stop when you hit him in the face. He only stops when you, beat him up or get away. One of those things, so you really have to hurt him. I totally agree with you.
True. And yeah, exactly. And yeah, so that's actually, that's a very good TED Talk on YouTube on self-defense. With this expert, it's a real eye-opener, I feel. He mentions how it's more dangerous to encounter someone who's just a straight-up psycho, who's willing to do anything, than like even someone like John Jones, who's both has the physical attributes and the training. Because one person is trained to beat you up, and the other person has something in him which doesn't require
wants to kill you.
It's a psychological thing.
Yeah.
The same with Kung Fu. Like, you got your techniques where you go for the throat, and sure, if I do this, it's gonna be very dangerous. But psychologically, most people are not wired to do this, and especially.
But also the legal issues.
Not a lot of Kung Fu trained people, because that's one of the things you can't train outside of doing Taolu, which is the same as kata, with some visualization and stuff. And honestly, I don't even want to practice those kind of things with going too heavy into the visualization, because I don't want to have those instincts. Only if everything else fails, then I hope I can have those, and I probably won't. If you're gonna maim, just fatally injure a person, then you're gonna be prepared to deal with it, both in terms of the law and also just in terms of your conscience.
In self-defense, I wouldn't have any problem, sticking my thumb in his eye. But for example, in some self-defense classes, they teach to stab somebody, in self-defense, and I would have real hard time, stabbing somebody. Just imagine, stabbing somebody, that would for me be. That would only be, life or death, if he also tries to stab me. But I wouldn't, walk on the street and somebody grabs you, I wouldn't hesitate to punch him in the face for self-defense. But to grab a knife, stab, exactly what you're saying, I totally get that. But also,
And so, just to get back to the questions.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask you.
Interesting to talk about, so we get a little off tangent. But I was touching on, for sure, traditional martial arts, from my perspective, they need to be more transparent about not having superpowers. Some are for sure honest about what they do, but not everyone. And also they need to do a lot of pressure testing. And you'll see a lot of pressure testing on my channel. Some of it is more realistic and some of it is a little less realistic, because I try to pressure test everything. So we try to do like spear combat, polearm combat. I haven't done spear, but guandao, which I just said spear because people know what a spear is.
Basically a staff, pretty much.
Like that, where it would be like a life or death situation. And then very quickly, if I was to do it as realistically as I approach MMA sparring. But nonetheless, I still want to have some experience having to adapt to a situation, and also test out like even some of the flashy stuff with like spinning the weapon and chopping down, just to see what I can get away with and what I can't. Because that really provides an educated perspective for when you're doing the forms. So I want to see more of that from traditional martial arts. From modern martial arts, I think we're starting to see more and more where they're more open-minded to different techniques. So more traditional techniques actually be proven effective with the proper training.
It is funny you mention that. Absolutely, it does feel like mixed martial arts. I'm just going to drop the modern thing because it's still kind of like it's still becoming its own. Like, it's kind of going through a refinement and renaissance to a degree, because there were a lot of points of time during the beginning or the dark ages of mixed martial arts there was like, oh yeah, that wouldn't work. You just gotta know how to kick someone with a round kick. You know how to take someone down.
Yeah.
You need to know how to throw knees from the Muay Thai clinch. But then you discover, oh, okay, well, maybe side kicks could work. Yeah, karate can work.
Shit as well.
Yeah, totally. Spinning. Oh, we're throwing spinning shit
that
now.
Entire year full of spinning kicks. Who can forget that?
You know, Nick Diaz. You know, we're throwing spinning shit now.
yeah, exactly.
The Nate Diaz thing. Yeah.
And actually,
come on, guys, you gonna try and play touch button in the park? That's just ridiculous, man.
Yeah, the spinning shit is kind of. I think Kong Lei was the first guy on the big stage.
Shout out to him, my man.
Yeah, he's a hero of mine, and hopefully I'll get to collab with him at some point because he's following Zendragon on Instagram now, at least.
Oh, but that's amazing, my man. You know, congratulations. I would love also to have a talk. You know, to have a talk with him on ChatCOMBAT.
Yeah, he's a cool dude. He just has a lot of offers and stuff. So
yeah,
I'm trying to do some kind of collab because he appreciates some of what I do. I think just the bits he's seen, and I've commented on his stuff as well. But
what do you, by the way, think of Master Wong on YouTube?
Huh?
What do you, by the way, think of Master Wong on YouTube? Do you know him?
Yeah, I know him for sure. I know all the big cats in this.
But what do you think, you know, of his, you know, his way of teaching? You know, because he's very, you know, entertaining and energetic.
Yeah.
He's more to me, you know, I really, you know, like. How do I say it?
He's a performer more than.
Yeah, I really like his performance. You know, maybe not all the stuff that he teaches, you know, is 100% legit for self-defense, but the way he teaches is, you know, he's really an entertainer. You know, when you see him on YouTube. No, I'm not saying, you know, if you look at his age, you know, he's a very fit guy. You know, I'm sure he would, you know, he is able to fight. You know, Renz maybe disagrees. I don't know, but I'm talking from my perspective.
I'm trying to be reserved about it because I'm trying to be like a very fair person.
But you know, I also would love to have a talk with him on ChatCOMBAT. You know, if you could arrange that, you know. But what do you think of him? You know.
Yeah. What I think of him, I never think in like black and white. I like to try and see the nuances. And this guy used to have a reputation as being pretty legit because all of his stuff is, just to drop a reference, is for the streets.
Yeah.
For sure. But I think he's been exposed to some extent, but I also think that he's gotten less street cred than he deserves. I think some of his stuff is useful and some of it is less useful. And he actually does a lot of like dirty tactics, which are great for self-defense, and you can't do them in combat sports. And that may be a little bit of the reason why he hasn't shown that much pressure testing, because like stuff like grabbing the balls,
ripping them off, you know, ripping the balls off.
Whatever he might say.
I agree.
Master Wong here, if you in self-defense position, you have to grab him by the ball.
Yeah. But even
big problem.
I want to do on my channel. I've been wanting to do some apartment sparring, and it's more difficult now with a baby. I don't want to scare my son, but I've been wanting to do this. But you'd have to do it somewhat live contact because I want to like get in the kitchen and fight and like use the fridge and like
like scenarios.
But so part of it is that his focuses a lot on self-defense, but also it can be easy to hide with that because you don't get pressure tests. So I think it's important to both do some sparring where you show like the combat sports and then do the more dirty tactics stuff and more self-defense reliant stuff as well.
You know, I always
entertainer. I'd love to spar him, or even I don't know. I'm bad now, so I shouldn't be doing. I don't want to get into too many arranged fights unless it really makes sense.
Yeah.
But I'd love to at least spar with him, or even I think he's better than people make him out to be.
Yeah,
but
I agree.
There's a lot of fine boys who believe he's a lot better than he is, and the same. That's the case for anyone. Like for me, I've got some haters and I've got some fanboys as well,
Yeah.
you might call them. And I got a lot of really respectful, really knowledgeable martial artists who follow my stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of times people will either think I'm better than I am, or sometimes that I'm worse than I am. Neither is true. What matters to me is that I'm a lot better than I used to be. And I feel a lot more confident in the situation.
Here to that, man.
That's great to hear. I also...
yeah?
No, go continue, my man, sorry.
I also want to hear you guys.
No, continue, my man. You know, you are the guest.
Okay, so I think you were asking in the first episode about something about self-defense experiences, which I'd like to get into.
Yeah.
And so I'm just going to start with something which actually happened just very recently. And
damn.
Fortunately, it did not escalate any further. But so was the life of a YouTuber, and as a father, I don't have a lot of time to record stuff. So I decided to, late at night, try and do some nighttime recordings with Kung Fu weapons, because I've been wanting to show more of that on my channel recently.
Yeah.
So I was trying it outside. I was standing near a light, kind of like this, but it still looked really crappy on the camera.
Mm-hmm.
And I was trying to like find somewhere to place the camera. So actually I found this garbage can on wheels, and I moved it around and I placed it, and it's in pretty much darkness, only with a little bit of light like right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm doing my thing. I'm trying to figure out whether I'm in the shot and preparing to do some Kung Fu. And then I hear this voice in the background somewhere. I can hear it's behind a fence, and someone goes, "Hey, what's up?" in Danish, obviously. And I'm like, "Hey, what's up?" And says, "What the fuck are you doing?" in a hostile manner.
Mm-hmm.
So instantly, my response is to neither be fearful or aggressive, because you don't want to escalate things.
Assertive. Yeah, assertive.
Yeah, so I'm just trying to diffuse, and I'm just being honest, just saying like, I'm trying to record some video for YouTube. And then he's like, "Isn't that kind of strange? You're a weirdo or something." I'm trying to find a translation.
Yeah.
In the Danish. And then I'm just like, "Yeah, I guess if you feel so, whatever." And I'm just going about my thing. And then he just keeps on talking, and he says, "Are you trying to light the place on fire?" And I have the sense that this guy is most likely high. I think I think he's on some kind of drug, or perhaps he has some
possible
mental illness issues, just from what I detect in the voice and the paranoia, expecting that I'm trying to light the place on fire because of this trash can thing, which I'm placing. And also considering how calmly I'm responding to him, that he still has this idea in his mind. And then I just say, "No, I'm just trying to record something." Then he says, "Okay, but if you light this thing on fire, I'm gonna come down and beat your ass." He yells this. It's like 1 o'clock in the night time. I have a bunch of Kung Fu weapons lying all around. I don't know if you can
grabs a Kung Fu weapon.
You're gonna come down here? I'd love to see you try.
Yeah. And if the video was recording, it would make for epic tons of views.
Yeah. To be honest, that would be awesome.
That'd be a perfect live chat.
Yeah, if you recorded that, and put it on your channel, the whole thing, that would be amazing.
Yeah. But probably it would be too dark, and you wouldn't even be able to see this, and people would say this is fabricated.
Yeah, that's true.
But so I wasn't recording, and also these weapons, I wouldn't have used them most likely, because they're designed for training. I could still hurt the person, but you also got to think in terms of the law and stuff.
Yeah.
But
that's a good point.
Part of me, as he was saying, if you light this on fire, I'm gonna beat your ass. A slight part of me was like, kind of curious as to what would happen if he walked down there. And you never know, he might have some Muay Thai training or something.
Yeah, but also a weapon.
Or he might have a weapon or something. So I was just quick to just say,
dismiss it pretty much.
All right. So yeah, but I'm not lighting this on fire, so nothing's gonna happen. Have a good night. And then he actually also said, have a good night, even though I could tell he was aggressive.
You know, that's also...
verbal diffusion and like the tiny part of my ego and the curiosity kind of wants to like, oh, all right, let's show up and let's see what happens. It would be a nice test if I had like 9 lives and if I knew for sure I wouldn't go into jail, but it would not be.
That's just, moving your ego aside. That totally, greatly handled, my man. That's not everybody does that, and that's why people die, because, their ego is too much. They look at each other and they're like, why are you looking at me? And the other guy is also, why the fuck are you looking at me? And then they beat each other up, for no reason at all.
Absolutely. And I just want to say, because this happened just recently, things happen.
Yeah.
And also, I met with an ex-girlfriend of mine recently. We're great friends. And she told me actually that someone had attempted to rape her.
Oh, that's horrible.
Recently, and she fought off.
Bueno.
Is she okay?
She fought off the guy. She's okay, yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
She fought off the guy, and she wasn't able to remember exactly how. We did some self-defense training. And she actually went to a few Krav Maga classes. Well, maybe that has helped a little bit.
Great to hear, though, my man. But it's the hardest thing, to remember stuff under pressure.
Yeah. So a lot of times we feel comfortable, and we get the sense that those kind of scary situations only happen in movies, and it could take a lifetime where you don't experience it, or you could experience 3 things in a row during the week. So
do you know Ramsey Dewey on YouTube, for example? He was robbed, like 5-6 times at gunpoint when he was in South America, for his job or something like that, or for the church that he
It was a damn shame that Ramsey Dewey got robbed. Damn shame.
Ramsey Dewey from Shanghai,
and also
China.
the Muay Thai guy just recently, Shane Fate. Yeah.
Face Sensei,
but he had a
Face Jason,
at home, and so. Yeah,